Today I've got a simple, wintry, comforting soup for you to try at home. First, I must apologize as I didn't realize until well after I had done this video and made the recipe that my microphone had cut out. So instead of completely redoing the video, I decided just to do a voiceover and crop the video down, including myself out. So you can see my hands being very gesticulating here, but I just thought this was the easier route to go. So we've got a roasted butternut squash and apple soup for you today with some pangrattato and some fried sage leaves. It sounds somewhat fancy, but I assure you it is anything but. So starting with the butternut squash, I cut it in half, the neck from the bottom, and then remove the peel with a sharp knife. You can use a peeler as well. And then for the bottom half, you want to remove the seeds out of both sides. And then the easiest way is to always work with a flat surface, cut both the bottom half and the neck part into pieces, and then chop those down just into a rough dice. I have preheated the oven to 375 degrees, and I'm going to roast the squash, the apples, and the shallot all at the same time. So you'll want to have a parchment-lined baking tray nearby, and we're just going to simply do a little bit of olive oil and salt and pepper. For the apples, I'm going to leave the peels on, just for a little bit of extra flavor and texture. So I'm just going to break these down and remove the seed pack from the center. And again, I'm not going to cut these down to small sizes. I'm actually going to leave these bigger than the squash as they're not going to take as long to roast. And then for the shallots, I've got 2 large shallots here, but if you can't get your hands on shallots, you can just use regular onions. Sweeter would be better, however. Just remove the outside peel, and again, just either quartering or just a rough chop on these, as these also won't take quite as long to roast as the squash, so they can be left a little bit bigger. So onto the parchment tray, we've got the squash, the apples, and the shallots. I'm going to move most of the squash to the outside of the pan as it gets a little bit hotter. And although we are looking to get a little bit of caramelization on all 3 of these elements, we aren't looking to overcook the squash. We just want it knife tender. Gloves of olive oil just drizzled over the top, maybe 2 tablespoons or so, and then a generous pinch of both salt and pepper to season. We will check the seasoning later on in the soup, but the vegetables and even the apples here could use a little bit of seasoning. And then just simply toss this all together, and you're going to pop it in your preheated 375 degree oven, and it's going to take about probably 22 to 24 minutes, maybe slightly less if you're using a convection oven, for the squash to just be knife tender. While the squash is in the oven, you're going to take a little bit of slightly stale bread. I'm using a little leftover piece of baguette here, and you can do this in a food processor, just pulse the bread down, but I like these sort of larger, chunkier, kind of ragged pieces, so I just chop everything up by hand. And I've got a pan just off to the side, and I'm melting some, in this case, unsalted butter. And I'm just going to bring that up to a high temperature, let the water evaporate off, and then I'm going to throw in my fresh sage leaves. And these will take just about 1.5 to 2 minutes to fry until they're just crispy. Remove them to a piece of kitchen towel to drain, sprinkle them with a touch of salt, and you can see they just fall apart in your hand. They're so delicious and crispy. They taste so much different than raw, fresh sage. You're going to love them. And then with the remaining butter in the pan, which all told was about 4 tablespoons, I'm going to keep it on a medium-high-ish heat, and then I'm going to throw in my fresh breadcrumbs. These will only take about 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds to fry. And again, just remove them to a piece of kitchen towel. You can give them a little sprinkling of salt for seasoning, because again, I've used unsalted butter here. Now with that leftover butter that will still be in the pan, you now have brown butter. Don't throw that away. Put that in your soup pot or your Dutch oven, and then remove your roasted vegetables, from the oven and then add those to that brown butter. Topping this off with about a liter, maybe a little bit more, of good chicken bone broth, but you could of course use vegetable broth or even water if you'd like. Lid on, bring to a low boil and simmer for about 20 minutes. Now for the pureeing, I like to use a food mill because I get a slightly nicer texture. It's a little bit more rustic, which I like, but if you don't have a food mill or if you'd like a more silky soup, you can use a blender or even a stick immersion. If you're unfamiliar with a food mill, you simply ladle in some of your soup, stock and all, and turn the mill one way a few times and then reverse it to clean the blade. And you can see it all just comes out the bottom there. Make sure you use a spatula to scrape off all of that pulp that might be stuck to the bottom. And now you have the most beautiful roasted squash and apple soup. Just give it a little taste for seasoning, adjust with salt and pepper as needed. And then for serving, ladle it up into a bowl, and then you're going to top with those delicious fried breadcrumbs. That's the pangrattato, and then a few pieces of that fried sage. Very simple garnish. It looks so beautiful if you serve this, but of course you can just take the soup pot or the soup bowl right to the table and then put the garnishes out and people can help themselves. Give this one a try. I really hope you enjoy it. It's the perfect little winter warmer. The full recipe will be on the website at enidgrace.com.